Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings 2022. For the first time since 2019, the Canadian Open has returned to the PGA schedule. It's exciting times for people who are Canadian, like myself and Geoff Fienberg. Maybe you out there too. Smash a like to the episode playing the Mayo Listeners League. 2,500 spots this week. Let's fill it up quickly so we get the bonanza jackpot of rake-free money for the U.S. Open. And give me your winner down in the comment section, or the guys' odds when you look on DraftKingsSportsbook.com that are most egregious this week, because there are some egregious pricings in a field like this. Geoff, did you watch much of the Memorial? Because the Sunday fun got sucked out of it for me when Billy Ho was up by a bunch. I was like, yeah, maybe Neiman can make a run. Maybe someone can make a run. It got interesting for a second until it stopped becoming interesting like 20 minutes later.
Did get interesting for a second. Billy made a clutch putts. He made the eagle. I probably watched less of it than most events. I had joked last week, Pat, that, you know, the golf gods, I think I owe one to, and the Memorial gods from hitting Cantley with the Rom WD last year, I owed one to. Needing to watch Billy strut walk, you know, Jack's place for 18 holes was a little unexpected and cruel, but it is what it is, and credit to him. And what's funny is The Athletic, Pat, wrote a piece on Billy that came out last week where he pretty much said, I am done trying to make people happy. I've tried to fix myself for 13 years. I tried as hard as I could. I couldn't. I'm just going to be me. So it's whatever you've gotten is going to keep happening. And I mean, for a guy that a lot of us, myself included at times, most of the time can't stand on television, he's just a winner. He raids these big events. He's like the casino when that thing hit zero on the green. You know, I didn't see many people bragging to me about hitting a ticket last night, but you know, it makes sense. The correlation to other wins in his career, happy for him. But to answer your question, it was a long answer. I did not watch as much as I normally do.
I don't know whether to take solace in the fact that, I mean, Morikawa kind of blew up my week. It was an okay DraftKings week. People played the play that I duped in a $100 single entry with like 3 other people who played the best plays lineup that I threw in. It was a really good lineup. It was a good 6 of 6. Mito ended up doing better as the week went along, but a 3rd place, a 5th place, a 13th place. It was around it, but again, just coming up in the shithole for all of these outright bets. At least I'm cutting down the card a little bit and saving some money that way. But I feel like we're close. Maybe we can get one this week, but that might be a bit difficult looking at some of these odds and how you think that this tournament is going to play out. I got a few names circled, but that's really about it. I was happy to see. I liked the celebration with Billy. He had made mention in the presser after the fact that it was the first time that his kids had ever been at a tournament he had won.
Best.
Is he on the radar for either the U.S. Open or the Open Championship? Because I never really consider, I don't think I've ever bet Billy Horschel in a major ever, which has been
no, but he did have that vibe where he had that great U.S. Open and then rocked the octopus pants and then bitched at Chambers Hill, so that sort of changed I love Billy U.S. Open vibes. But he's historically, I don't know, man, classical, his 2 last wins, Memorial and the Wentworth win, just classical tree-lined golf courses that have serious goddamn teeth and have really good fields. So I'm not sure where the question is if he's live for these couple events, Pat, but does he not have to answer when you take out the immediate young kids, say a Zalatoris or even a Schauffele, who's not young, but he has to be in this conversation for best veteran player without a major, does he not? I mean, based on world ranking now,
yeah,
you can debate that in a conversation. So, and that's a compliment. Congratulations, Billy. Myself, a lot of people we're hard on the guy, but I don't know. He's easy to be when he wins, I'm not watching him. I'm annoyed, but when he wins and not happy for him, it's this weird dynamic that I'm not alone in sharing, I think.
Well, he has the 2 wins. He has the 1 team event win with Scott Piercy in Zurich. He won Zurich for his first ever win in 2013. He went back-to-back in 2014 in the FedEx Cup playoffs, won the BMW, then won the Tour Championship the next week, beating out Furyk and Rory. He has that match play win as the WGC. Wentworth, like you said. You know, his career is kind of shaping up a lot.
Patrick Reed minus a major.
I was going to say Molinari.
Well, yeah, I guess you just have to...
Pre-Open Championship Molinari, where, I mean, Horschel has more impressive wins on his resume, but just like that sort of trajectory where maybe it's just all... What really sucks is that I've been betting Billy Horschel this year, like, a lot, and he finally wins when I'm not on him.
Yeah, no, I didn't. And he was making a move on Friday to sort of give himself the late weekend tee time. I saw a stale number, and I was too stubborn to bet it. I saw a good stale number, like a 70. But I had guys that were contending, and, sometimes I'm stubborn. I'm just like, I don't want to cheer for this guy this weekend, but a few weeks ago, I don't ever like cheering for Justin Thomas, and I bet him to win. So yeah, I can't control sometimes how my stubborn acts will play itself out. I made the Patrick Reed comp, Pat, just because he just wins like man parties, like he just wins these great events, strong fields, brings this like tough as nails attitude to them, and becomes a bit of a machine, obviously minus a major championship. But I think we complimented him very kindly with both of those comps, and I could totally see like a second life if he does it. I won't win money on it. I'm going to tell you that right now. If Billy Horschel wins a major, I will not win money on it.
I'm looking at his majors track record right now. It might be the worst majors track record of any good player.
Cantley?
No, Cantley has finishes. Like,
they're also a different class. Like for that, sure, but okay, fine. Horrible in majors outside that one U.S. Open where he rocked the octo pants.
Yeah, he had a T4 in 2013 at the U.S. Open, and it's just a bunch of miscuts. Like even over the past since 2019. His best finish in a major is T23 at the PGA Championship last year. It's a lot of like T56, T38, 43rd. It's a bunch of that stuff.
Let's not forget like the true facts about what he had to deal with a few years ago also. Like his wife was like, she's a recovered alcoholic, but he was like afraid to leave home to go play golf. Imagine playing golf and being worried that a kid might be running around with scissors and your wife's half baked on the couch. Like that can't be fun, having to hit a 12-foot par putt.
True.
So like a full, I can't wait for Chris Kirk to finally win. And this course in many ways we're going to go to this week could set up for Kirk.
So that's let's bet Kirk at, what is he, like 8-1 or something like that?
I don't know. Yes. The odds are insane. I just mean a short, compact shot maker.
I'm with you.
Anyhow, we'll get there in a few minutes, but yeah, I mean, he was, Chris Kirk was an admitted alcoholic and recovered. So I'm looking forward to his finally like ending his long tenure without a win, and everything he's gone through can be celebrated. But again, I think it's the third time I'm going to say it. Billy Horschel annoys me, but when he wins, I love celebrating him also, even if I'm going to, pull out my pockets and there's nothing in them. I can't control that. That's supposed to happen every week, trying to guess who's going to win.
I made a U.S. Open wager over the weekend.
Love it.
First one. Sung Jae Im, 66-1 with the top 5. I do worry that I got a bit too excited, that I was like, if I had just waited until week of, this is probably a better number, right?
Tough. This is tough to call, Pat. This is tough to call because a couple guys are going to go down. I think he's a very quality, non ultra high end prototype player. I think the number is strong. I don't think we're going to see an 80 based on how he played in his first
2 events back.
First 2 events back on just a demanding golf course that if it plays a certain way, it's perfect for him. I love it. I saw your tweet after I'd already been thinking about it. And I saw your tweet and I'm like, this makes total This makes total sense. I like that. So Sung J M, Brookline. Let's do it. I'll join. I'll get right on that. I bet him with you this week. I think for his results the last 2 weeks have been perfect for someone who wants to bet him at the US Open. Now, I bet him last week. I thought the results in the first event were perfect for setting up a week last week. They did not, but yeah, I'm totally there. I don't think we're going to regret it unless it gets boosted. But here's the funny thing about the boosts. You can sometimes still fully cash out your regular bet.
Oh yeah, 100%. But I have the each way, so I have the each way, so I can't cash it out now.
Oh yes, jeez, that's an even better bet. I don't want to do that though.
Yeah,
I'm a win or nothing.
I know.
Yeah, that's even smart. That's smart. It seems like he can contend there. If he gets clipped by, I mean, look who's won the 2 majors this year. Like, is this just going to be a year of ultra elites? Or are we going to go down the board? And give out a trophy. Maybe a couple weeks we'll get down the board.
Even in years where super elites have dominated the majors, you usually do get your one outlier.
Of course, someone always clips one of them. Yeah,
and it feels like, although this has not been the case the past 2 times at St. Andrews, when you look at like the rest of the leaderboard at St. Andrews, you're like, oh yeah, an elite is probably going to win there, depending on how far you go down. And I mean, do you know anything about Brookline at all? Because I was looking into it this week. I was reading about it. I wanted to get someone on, like I had Troy Martin on for the PGA Championship, John Ratzhouse on for the Players Championship, breaking down the course a little bit to glean some insights. But I can't really find anyone for Brookline to do that. It's not like it's an unknowable course. People know it. People have seen it before. You can read all about it. But it's not like guys are getting extra reps out there all the time with, it's not widely accessible to everyone, I guess is what I'm going to say. It's not a course that people see a lot.
Full disclosure, I certainly can't fake knowing anything about it.
Yeah.
All I've thought about is I'm not going to change from my PGA Championship US Open player profile. Which is just like really, they can hit it really long and they're great ball strikers and they're pretty goddamn accurate off the tee. And I sort of worry about the other stuff after. Other than just standard US Open player profile, I don't know anything in terms of a specific type I'm supposed to be looking for based on Brookline. I don't have a clue. I haven't even seen it pop up on Golf Channel in old events. Maybe it has, but like in my surfing, I just haven't even caught it yet. So I'm naked. I watched like half a flyover the other day and got bored. So that's where I'm at, Pat.
I haven't done the fly. I'll do the flyover this week, I suppose. I'll probably have anyone wants to contact me, like someone. I don't want like, hey, I know a guy who's played at this course, get him on the show. I tried that once. That was not helpful whatsoever. Very bad show. So never going back to that again. But if anyone out there who actually does know the course and has familiarity with the yardage books or USGA setup or someone a bit on the inside, hit up PatMayoExperience@gmail.com or just tweet at me and we'll talk it through to see if we can get something out there. Otherwise, I'm doing the flyover, I'm doing the breakdown, and I've had a lot of success with that at majors in the past, so maybe that's what I'll go back with. Did you hear about the new PME schedule for the rest of the year? I'm going to take that as a no.
I can't lie about knowing anything about Brookline, and I ain't going to lie about knowing the new schedule.
So I'm getting rid of the Tuesday DraftKings Pick show for golf.
Okay.
Tambo being in studio and people really liking that show, myself included, and you know how a dynamic is just so much better when people are in person. Take you and I, for example. People say this show has been horrible since we stopped doing the show in person. I disagree with that because I think we have a good familiarity and we're comfortable with one another. But you were talking over me in studio anyway, so I don't think that really changed all that much. But it feels like that show has now become a bit redundant in terms of we talk about exactly the same thing, except for on Wednesday, we just have better information to go off of. We know the weather. We know better ownership projections. We know what we want to do, and we can take live questions from the audience. So that's going to remain noon Eastern time this week. Major week is going to be exactly the same. It's going to be balls to the wall golf every single day. No worries about that for the US Open and the Open Championship. What I'm thinking that we're going to do is after that, after we come out of US Open week on Wednesdays, we're going to start doing the live chat, I think either at 9 or 9:15 a.m. Eastern Eastern time, so people can still hop in on the live chat, but still have the entire day to download the podcast and go through everything. I just didn't want to, it really felt like I was talking about the same thing twice. And I was talking about it with better information the second time around. And I was warmed up after having talked about it for an hour anyway. I feel like it wasn't necessarily doing people a disservice, but I don't think that having both of the shows was an enhancement at the same time. And listen, I still do the research show, I still do this show, and I'm going to do that show. Plus, I have all the other supplemental content, like the newsletter, the article, all of that stuff that it's a necessary sacrifice for this time of year because football's coming back. I know that some people don't give a shit about football, but there's way more people who do give a shit about football, and I got to get that audience, Geoff.
I totally get it. I know who you're recording with later today, and I love those shows.
Yeah. So that'll be Tuesday and Thursday, I think, this week. I think we'll record back-to-back and maybe do some 40-minute shows. I just did two with Sealy the past 2 weeks, like getting everyone caught up on what's going on. Because I know a lot of people aren't really in on it right now, but I just got the DK Best Ball ADPs sent to me, so we can really dig into the fantasy side of this. And then I'm going to start having on more futures-type people to talk about the odds. I think Levitan's going to come on in the not-too-distant future. So it's a good time to, especially for in-season football, that test out a few new people to see who we have a good dynamic with. It's not like me, you, and Tim are going anywhere. That's going to remain the same, but we got other shows to piece together. I'm thinking about trying to actually do the Sunday night show this year in terms of NFL, like right after the late slate of games, talk about it then. So that show is available for the evening. That show is available for the morning. I think that's and try to make it a fun show. Like Cam and Pizzola last year was such a fun show. I think everyone really enjoyed it. I loved doing the show as much as I love doing the show with you and Tim. I'd like to find a Sunday version of that show because Monday morning, everyone's a fucking write-off.
I totally agree. Sunday mornings, people are raring to go Sunday mornings for their content.
Yeah,
as well. I feel like those can be tricky also.
I stepped away from the Sunday morning last year just because I was like, I just don't feel like doing it. But I might bring it back this year and not even do a show. Like legitimately do a 30-minute live chat from my house and be like, all right, let's go. You got questions? Fire away. And I will try to answer them for you. But it was going to be a Sunday night show. So like right after the final whistle, before Sunday Night Football, start recording. We can have Sunday Night Football on in here as we're recording the show and kind of talk about it. But just go over the week. Have the recap show. Because I know that I'm always looking for shows like during the Sunday nighter that I can just kind of have on. It's like, oh, what did I miss this week? I'm watching all the games. I didn't miss much. But that sort of sentiment, like I like to hear other people talk about it at the same time to see with what they saw meshes up with me. So thank you for having this content meeting with me midway through the golf show this week for our National Open, which it's pretty exciting. It's back, isn't it?
Super exciting. It's back. In my own biased way, I guess this is my favorite run of golf of the year. To go PGA Championship, sure, the Schwab, but then the Memorial into the Canadian Open, which is just a true bias, and it continues to stay in my backyard around the corner, and then another major next week. So I'm super fired up. This is a really awkward field. It's like so top heavy and then no middle ground. So the betting tier we like to bet on, which hasn't really been successful this year, is evaporated this week. Maybe that's a good thing. And the players that do find themselves in that tier are, you're paying a much shorter price than you normally do. I'll end this comment though, Pat, by saying, I think we're on like a long run now of the weeks before a majors are truly going to not great players. Now granted, KH Lee won, and I think second, third, and fourth place were Spieth, Thomas, and Hideki. So it is always a fine line. But, this year we've gotten Spawn and KH Lee, and wouldn't be shocked if this week is any different at all.
I really like this part of the schedule as well. I think it's the best part of the schedule throughout the course of the year. I like the parts of the early schedule, basically from Farmers through
Phoenix.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a part of it. But Farmers is first. It's like Farmers through Players, or even Valspar, I think is really, or to the Masters, let's say. But that Masters of the PGA Championship, like, we might as well take a month off next year because that was, besides the Heritage, it's fucking horrible.
Yeah, the PGA could definitely take a week off after the Masters. They'll never do it. but they definitely could.
I'm good with the Heritage staying the week after the Masters. That's fun, but have like a 2-week break after that. Like, I don't know how much more I ever need to see of the Zurich Classic.
You aren't wrong, but there's a machine, and
I get it. We gotta
it's like,
capitalize on
it's
that
like
money.
but I'm like one of those guys. Like, can't we just make 162 games like 150, 148? Like, can't we do that? Can't we? So yeah, no, we all agree. I think we all agree.
After the U.S. Open, I actually like this stretch in between as well. Like, you got Travelers. I really like Travelers. John Deere is after that. That's always kind of a fun one. And then we get the Scottish Open, which is a PGA event this year, the week before. Plus, there's always some good Euro tournaments that pop up in between as well when guys start gravitating and immigrating over to Europe to get acclimated with the time zones, the link style play. Like, you have the Irish Open the week before the Scottish Open. So that's always fun as well. Then it culminates, and then we're back into like Detroit and Wyndham and the 3M and the FedEx Cup, which is pretty when it comes down to it. But this week at the Canadian Open, you mentioned it. It's 5 of the top 10 in the world. I think it's 12 of the top 25, and then no one else. And the odds really reflect it. That was the first thing that I kind of gravitated towards when I saw the DraftKings Sportsbook odds come out, that 3 guys were in the single digits. I don't think that can sustain itself, but even the next tier down, like when I tried to guess the odds on the research show, I thought it would be like 8, 10, 12 or 9, 11, 12, something like that with the top 3 guys. And then there would be a drop off to like 20 for Fitzpatrick and Lowry, all the way down to 25. I knew Connors would be overvalued coming into the week, but like, a lot of these numbers on the mid-tier guys, I actually think, like when you look at Scheffler at 7, Thomas at 7, Rory at 8. Now, there are other numbers out there that you can find, but I think that those are better numbers than Lowry at 16 and Fitzpatrick at 16, honestly.
I would have to agree with that. I don't really have a take at the top yet. I'm not saying I wouldn't bet one of them.
I do.
I just haven't I'm not prepared as we speak right now to decide which one of them is going to do it either.
I have a strong inkling that Rory is going to dominate this field.
Well, I would have said if I had to power rank them, I think I would make him number 1. And yeah, and as I joked last week, Pat, we got the DJ news. Like I am hoping for. This is like clearly an optimism. I don't know anything, and this would be a huge get. I am like really hoping for a Justin, Rory, or Scheffler Team RBC announcement this week. Like I am hoping you lose a big guy in free agency, whatever you want to call it. Like you just go sign someone else who's wicked immediately with those monies. And I think it'd be great to see that happen this week. Even Sam Burns, although like his shirt's pretty loaded these days. Yeah, so there's that part, but yeah, I would power rank Rory number 1 here. I think he's got good vibes. It's not exactly the course type you would think you want to bet Rory at.
See, I disagree because
but I'm here for it, and the way he took apart Hamilton,
yes,
like I could do this. I could do that.
Even at TPC Potomac earlier this year, which I think is going to be a pretty analogous course to how this ends up playing. EPAT was out there. I think he played with Canadian European Tour member, DP World Tour member, Austin Cocknell. I think that's his name. And the
I think EP played a media day, and then Cockrell responded to a tweet about some guys that were asking about guys who were out there last week if the rough is still as thick, and Cockrell let him know it is gnarly out there. So it is gnarly.
I really like this. I think that the Canadian Open, we really were like, ooh, when it got moved the week before the U.S. Open. We thought, like, this is basically the death knell of the world's third oldest Open championship. But this placement on the schedule is so much better than that stupid September one that this actually worked out really well, especially if they do set it up with not necessarily U.S. Open conditions, but something that somewhat mimics it. And I think that's what they're doing this year at St. George's. Now, they're playing at your home course next year. Is there any way that they can like jury rig it up that it can play like that? Because it doesn't feel like they can.
They can make it thick. They can run the greens. There are things they can do, but I guess, yeah, they'd have to make it narrower, and they'd have to just let the grass grow a real long time in and around the greens. And much like this week, it's a classical Stanley Thompson tree line design. We're going to have a whole year. The year calendar starts today. It is super exciting. We'll have time to talk about that in the future. I'll probably maybe even bring it up to an annoying extent over the year, but I don't have any doubt about it. And I hope they try to keep this trend of following the US Open, like putting it in locations, which makes it easy to travel to. Also, Pat, didn't Scheffler and Thomas win? Oh no, Thomas didn't win his start before the major, but he played fantastic. So we have two elite players that won and I think came top 3 in their starts before the majors. And this new like wave of younger player, I think looks at the week before majors way differently than elite players did 10, 15 years ago. Like they're like, I catch fire and I keep in fuego. So let's go. Like, let's get fire and let's bring fire into a major. Not like try to hit fire at the major. Let's bring fire into the major is what it seems like this new generation of players mindset is leading into the big events.
I think that actually makes sense. And so many of the majors were dominated by Tiger for 20 years, and he just wasn't going to play the week before a major. That didn't matter to him.
Yeah. Well, he's mentally strong enough, and so many. Yeah, you're right. You're true. Tiger has warped everything. Everything.
What do you
there's
think?
People that listen, his behavior was disgusting, but there's people like this, like John Rahm's, like there's this tribe. Ugh. Tiger ruined everything. I don't mean ruined everything. He made everything magical, but he warped people's minds on what is supposed to happen.
When I was looking into Brookline for the U.S. Open, I came across a thing where Arnold Palmer lost in the 18-hole playoff 3 of 5 years at the U.S. Open without winning one of them. One of them was at Brookline. And he had won 6 majors before the 1963 at Brookline. But could you imagine, like, because then he went, I think, another 5 years without winning a major, 6 years, something like that. Just the discussion around Arnold Palmer, if it was now, you're like, the guy sucks now. Like, he comes second at every major. What a loser.
I tweeted it as a joke, but over under on Scotty Scheffler sucks tweets are 4.5 months.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of that, does Morikawa suck now?
I've seen them.
He was having real problems around the greens at Memorial.
Don't worry, Pat. I saw there's a guy created his Twitter account in May 2022 to let you know Cam Smith sucks yesterday.
Did he let me know or let you know?
He let both of us know, but I didn't bet him. I don't know, like, okay.
I did bet him.
No, I don't even know if he was trolling a bet, but I'm just like, what do you, like, whatever. I don't know.
Imagine having to start a burner account just to say that. Like, I know, I'm watching it. Like, I can definitely see that. I did the research show in the morning where I went through with what he was doing was unsustainable, and I had no faith that he would end up coming back. If anything, he would probably end up going the other way because he couldn't hit a drive, he couldn't hit an iron, it was chipping in every third hole. What happened?
Yeah, like Keith Mitchell. What happened to Keith Mitchell?
Yeah. Wait, what happened to Adams? Oh, man, Cameron Young got a case of the bads on Sunday.
Yeah, listen, I make fun. I'm not really part of Thursday morning golf Twitter, but T's and P's to Team Cam Young, who, like,
it's over.
Victory lap did. It's, I don't know. The golf's so cruel. Betting it is so cruel. You just gotta, I don't know. Billy moved on moving day. That's what mattered, and he made the par putts on Sunday. So that's how you win. You move on moving day. You make the par putts Sunday.
User of Keegan Bradley every single week on DraftKings, Paul Shaughnessy, came 6th in the Pat Mayo Experience DraftKings contest. Cam Young blew you up?
Cam Young getting plus 12 was suboptimal for riding my way all the way up to the top. But 6th place was not so bad. It was a winning week on DraftKings. And Keegan, of course, as I told people on the Wednesday show with Tambo, you play Keegan.
Just play Keegan every week?
When it's hard.
It's hard. Okay, how do you think this course ends up playing, Jeff? I saw -14, -15 was EPAT's prediction. I was kind of around there too, because that's what Hamilton would have played to, but Rory went nuclear and won at -22. The next closest guy was -14. So I would say that the -14 is probably the winning number most of the time at that course, unless Rory just decides to show up and shoot 60 on a Sunday, which we've seen him do over the past 10 years, once or twice a year. Not once or twice a year, like once every 2 years.
I'm going to be a little more scoring friendly, Pat. You just don't need to be very long. Shot makers could pin stock it. We've had some rain. I'm going to say closer to 18, 19. I think the PGA Tour, it benefits, I guess, someone who lives where I live, and personally next year benefits me greatly. We see it in Dallas with the course selections. They just want to be in Dallas. They don't want to go to some epic course that's like a drive or somewhere far away from the Metro Dallas area. This is like a commitment. It looks like tour wide, maybe by sponsors or this court. So I think it's going to be flirting with 20 this week. And that's just, the course is great. It's classical, but it doesn't have, I think there's just the pros. So they're going to get it. They're going to get it.
Okay. I have no idea what any of that means, but, it's in.
No, you can just say they're not going to these most difficult courses. They like to go to the courses that are just nice courses, very nice courses located
in Toronto,
in proximity. In the same reason that these courses they keep going to in the Dallas area, and I'm sure there's people that live in around Dallas in that area can find 25 better, harder courses that could actually challenge the guys. But no, they want to be 15 minutes from like downtown Dallas.
I am 100% with you. Like even Oakville for Glen Abbey. I mean, it's not a trek by any means, but it's not in the city center. This is in the city center, as is Oakdale is going to be next year. Royal Montreal is a bit on the outskirts of Montreal, but that's easy to get to when they have the President's Cup there. I assume that's why that's not. I was just looking for the Canadian Open rotation. Like the best course that they have played in the past 20 years was the year that it was at Shaughnessy in BC.
Yes.
But they were just like, fuck BC. We're not going back out there. And I guess it makes sense. You can keep all the infrastructure in Toronto. There's the most people in Toronto. You're making it fan friendly. It's easy for the TV crews to get up from wherever they're going. It's just across the border.
You would hope a California US Open could bring them back to BC though.
But it hasn't happened.
No, but I'm hoping the schedule. You're right, it hasn't for the reasons I just spoke about. Like they've committed 2 events to my club Oakdale, 23 and 26. I don't know where the US Open is in 26, probably not on the East Coast. So that hasn't been their at least initial strategy. That was the strategy I had hoped, is that the Canadian Open would try to geographically locate itself as close to the US Open that year as they could. They're not taking my advice.
I guess with travel being the way it is, that it's not overly difficult, that it doesn't really matter, because it's like playing the West Coast US Open, and then the guys just hop on a plane and play the Travelers in New England the week after that. This is a nice little like upper Northeast run here. And just go back to the odds for a second, who really sticks out to you? Because I was looking at Patrick Reed. Like, doesn't this feel like a very Patrick Reed course?
65 to 1 on DraftKings right now.
Yeah, that's a
shot maker can get his way out of the thick greenside hosel. Very few guys have caught my attention. Only one has caught my early money, not Patrick Reed, but I totally like Patrick Reed. If you consider Reed went off at Memorial at 55 to 1, this is actually a really strong, I don't want to say strong number. This is a number that makes a fair, nice betting move, I would suggest.
As I mentioned on the research show, I like Rory and I like Lowry. I don't like 8 to 1 and 16 to 1. You give me like 12 and 25, 12 and 22, all of a sudden I think it's a little bit of a different story, and those might be my 2 bets this week. Like the 65 on
Rory and who?
Rory and Lowry. I think is a very good Lowry. I see a 20 on Lowry out there. I see a 10 on Rory. Like we're getting close to the numbers that I want, so that's not horrible. I think this is if you miss the fairway at this course, you're going to be in big trouble. That's the way that it seems. Like it's going to be a precision track that you're going to be. Listen, Carl Peterson shot a 60 on this course when he won in 2010, the last time that it was here. Scoring is available. It feels like it can go the other way as well. That's why I was thinking about Potomac as a weird one, as a comp, the one that they played earlier this year when Max Homa ended up winning, beat Keegan, beat Rory, that whole collection of guys. Somewhere where we really like Corey Connors. But it's just, you're going to make a fair share of bogeys at this course if you miss the fairway. It's just, if you're missing the fairway, it's going to be difficult to rebound. Now, that can work out one of two ways. One, the Bombers are going to have a significant advantage, a la Bryson did at Winged Foot, where they're just like, if it's really difficult to hit fairways because they're thin and you're going to be off the fairway, you might as well just miss them as deep as possible and at least have the strength to get it out with a wedge, pop it up, and you'll end up being fine. If not, like, you're looking at your... I mean, it's weird that Abraham Answer isn't here, but he would be like the type of player that I would want, I think. And I think that Reed, now that he has no PXG in his bag anymore, improved the accuracy a little bit, that the rest of his game can take over. We know that he's played long, hard, thick, rough courses well in the past. How about a shorter, thick, rough type course? I think that could work out.
I do agree. I am still expecting, though, someone to shot make the shit out of this place, Pat.
Sure.
Just plot it out there in the fairway. They can club down and they can just go berserk with irons. Now, that's a recipe at a lot of places. That is truly an Abe Answer, can work perfectly on that Abe Answer player profile. So I totally agree with you in that respect. I do worry for the elite play. It could turn into a goddamn putting contest, or you just think there's too much thickness for that sort of situation.
I mean, obviously, someone who putts well is going to do well. That's not a groundbreaking type of argument to make. But I do think that tee to green is going to be tested, probably less of an emphasis on distance, more of an emphasis on accuracy. But those like mid irons to wedges, chipping and putting, if you end up missing, like if there's so many bunkers protecting so many of these greens, and with the rough being so thick, that a Patrick Reed type, like this would have been a really good Spieth course, it feels to me.
There's so many guys I thought about I wish were here. Woodland, who's played a few Canadian Opens. Alex Noren, who I've watched do the Noren grind session on the range in person. It's insane. You could walk 9 holes, come back, he'd still be doing the same thing he was when you left. Psychotic. But it'd been a perfect place for an Alex Noren. No Ren. Alex Noren, and as we kind of alluded to in some of the earlier conversation we had, Chris Kurt just pops because he profiles that exact same sort of way, but there's the squeeze. The squeeze is being made on our Kirks, our Munozes, that group of player. Am I tempted? Because I gave him a real nice compliment a few weeks ago, Pat. Is Justin Rose ready?
Everything besides his driving was ready last week at Memorial, but that just took him out of contention. That if he can dial it back a little bit, hit some fairways, the rest of his game looks pretty primed, and we know that he's been a very good U.S. Open style player over the years, that maybe he can figure that part of it out. You got to bury the lead here. You've bet on someone already. Tell me why you bet Harold Varner at 22-1.
42.
Oh, okay. It's 22 at DraftKings Sportsbook right now.
Yeah, I don't know what were they worried about coming to bet Varner?
They're worried about you. They're worried about you.
No, okay, here's the thing. I bet the 42 because I saw a 22, but I didn't know the 42 was a good number. It was still that early in the board's releasing process. I'm like, is this number good or is that number just horrible? Seems like the 42 is going to be top of market. This is me. I keep saying I think someone's going to shot make the shit out of it.
If that's the case, then take Justin Thomas.
Yeah, maybe I do. I don't know. But betting Varner at 40 because I'm weak. I am weak. I don't think it's like I can make worse bets. I can go in front of 40 and bet any super elite. I can just make a card of back. It doesn't change how I want to build a card, making my move at 42 on a player I'm a sucker for. I was talking, and this is like the most pathetic thing ever. My buddy's wife asked me who I thought was going to win the Canadian Open this week because she's going on Sunday with my buddy, as they do every year. As a lot of people who I'm friends with do. It's Canadian Open. It's in our freaking backyard. And I said Harold Varner. So I don't know why I'm committed to it. I bet him last week he had the lead on 10 and then he 10'd or got a 10. So I'm just still in. There's nothing scientific about it.
Okay. So I don't think 22-1 is a very good value on Harold
That
Varner.
is insane. Shane Lowry's 20.
Shane Lowry's 16.
Like, that's insane. Like, no, Varner.
These
that
numbers
is
have to
crazy.
drop. Like, I see a 20 on Hatton at DraftKings Sportsbook. In comparison with the market, Hatton is 28 at another spot. You can boost that up to 33 if you want. Like, doesn't this kind of seem like a Tyrrell Hatton course? The approach play has been pretty good lately. Like, if I want to get some extra juice, like, what's a better number? Hatton at 33 or Lowry at 22?
So I was going to say, 33 is really nice. I was looking at 28s on Hatton and thought that was as fair as a number under 30-1 this week. So Hatton 33-1 with how this week profiles in my head. Yeah, I do think that's fine. He's kind of been all over the map lately, but
Sure, he was.
I
good.
also agree with something else EPAT said. I think, like, on the concept, this wouldn't mark out as like a good US Open prep course, but I do believe you can find yourself in some situations that are actually very potentially could help you in the US Open. Now, I don't think you're going to have like 190 yards in on a par 4. Like, I don't mean like that, but I mean just some like thick, luscious, wet, rough, off the fairway, around the greens. It's been raining here. The courses look beautiful. So I have no doubt St. George is in as great a condition as it's been in forever right now.
Trying to figure out, Hatton. I think that Heritage might be a good look for this spot with like the overall low scoring, like where that scoring is going to be. This does seem like it's going to be thicker in the rough, like you mentioned. So I'm just trying to like grasp my mind around that. It's just such a difficult week with the names at the top being so short that if it was up to me, it would be Rory, it would be Lowry, CT Pan, maybe Patrick Reed. I do like Pan though. I think Pan sets up great here.
You could blindly look at the run of the last people winning the week before Major. You can make a case like, I'm just betting 50 and back. And if I get got by a guy at 10-1, I get got.
It's a compelling argument.
Like, the week before a Major brings out the weirdest shit. Like, just look at it.
Do we think
Big O1 is like second ever start in North America the week before the US Open last year. So bet Hogard.
Yeah, we can bet Hogard. Is Higo back in the field? He kind of sucked me back in with some nice play at, I don't know, just Harry Higgs. He's in the field.
Higo's not in the field. I don't like, if Danny Willett has life, I don't know if, if it turns into a bit of a scoring party. It's the only reason I'm tempted to head over there on Tuesday or Wednesday, but
Patrick Rogers at 200-1 on DraftKings Sportsbook is a really good number for Patrick Rogers. He's 80-1 at other places. And when I did the research show, he really did pop out. And he's someone who's actually like done okay in US Opens. And it's not California POA, it's Northeast POA, but that does seem to be his preferred putting surface, if nothing else. What do you do with the Canadians here? Because no Canadian has won this event since 1954, Pat Fletcher.
Fade.
I would wait.
I don't think people realize, if they have any memory, I think Hearn was at one of the final couple groups a few years ago. We will treat this like it's the Masters. A Canadian I think a Canadian is screwed. I don't know that a Canadian is good enough to win this.
I think it depends on who it is. Like, I think that Connors has the weight of winning on him right now. The only one who's ever come close being the guy was Weir when he lost in the playoff at Glen Abbey to
VJ
VJ.
tried to give it to him. Cam talks about it. Cam was there. Cam was a volunteer that week. He has a great VJ story it's not appropriate for air at all, because it could result in a lawsuit. That's how, like, whoa. Like, he said that. But yeah, it's almost like VJ tried. VJ is a multiple Masters champion, was so successful. Him and Weir are very good friends. That's not even a secret. That like VJ like did all he could to let Weir win the Canadian Open. Weir still couldn't win it. I'm not seeing a Canadian win it. If you put a gun in my head, I guess Corey Connors is the best one, but I don't care. Man, look, No.
I would say Hadwin had a run at Shaughnessy. I think he came fourth. Hearn was in that final group with Jason Day the year that won. And Hearn played great, but Jason Day was in the middle of that was his run when he won the PGA Championship. He won like 5 times in 7 starts. He was untouchable at that moment. With the way this course profiles, why not Mackenzie Hughes?
Yeah, I get it. You're kind of betting. Yeah.
And like everything Connors does well, Svensson does well. Like they're good ball strikers who can't putt. But one of them is 10 times the odds of the other one.
I don't know, Pat. I'm headed over to my course for the Monday quali when we're done here. Maybe your buddy Etienne Pepinot will qualify, and you'll get to talk about him on Wednesday.
Well, we need
top Canadian.
Well, there we go. We can get Etienne Pepinot in the field. He can win. Then he can win in another event, make the President's Cup team 2 years from now, and then he can play at Royal Montreal, and all would be solved with the world.
All will be solved with the world.
Because all we have right now is Jared Dutois. I don't even know if he's from Quebec or not. It's like when everyone thought it was Graham Dallet, and they thought he was from Quebec, but he's actually Graham Dillette from Saskatchewan.
So can I just I'm just going to run off some names, which can be really annoying, but I don't know, plotters, shot makers that I think might actually be decent this week. Should get the proper number, but guys like Aaron Rye and Lipsky do anything for you on a shorter end like that. I'm seeing Brendan Todd pretty high up there off a nice week a couple weeks ago. He can keep it clean and get scorching with the putter. I don't think that's unfair.
Okay. Are you looking for a response from me on this, or do you want to keep saying names? I'm just looking for a guy like great approach. Any interest? Do you have any interest actually in any of these guys?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Aaron Rye's shown up a ton this year.
Is that true, or you just remember that he had played at Torrey Pines well?
No, that's true. I think he's got some nice results.
What do you think his best results this year are?
Well, you faded at the end, but not everyone can be Bo Hostler.
He came 6th at the Farmers. He does not have a finish better than 24th anywhere else since. That was at the Mexico Open.
Brendan Todd.
What's
your biggest number on him?
Let's see. Where is Todd? Todd's biggest number, 66 to 1. Ew. I don't like that. 100 to 1 at DraftKings Sportsbook. That's a good number, I guess.
Yeah, see, that's not horrible.
You know what?
I'm just saying, I'm not looking at the Cameron Champ types. I'm looking at those other type of bodies.
If we're thinking Canadian, Svensson at 250 to 1, if you just wanted to have a rooting interest in it, but someone who putts really well on POA, can drive the ball really well, has been heating up on his approach. Nick Taylor is 130 to 1.
Okay, I'll give you. I like Svensson over all of them. Over all of them.
Okay.
But you know who could shine here, Pat? I'll suck up to you. Find the biggest number possible.
Luke List, 66 to 1.
I'm not anti that. You can just keep it, going perfectly straight and stick it to 5 feet. But your boy Doug Gim.
The Reaper.
Has he been on an ice box lately? Because he's a sort of just little shot maker, keeping it clean that I think I would finally like around this place.
I do like Gim and how he profiles. I just see Johnny is also 180 to 1 right here. I actually think his skill set profiles pretty well if he can play like John. If Gim was playing like Gim was last year, I would say yes. But he just he's like the low rent Tommy Fleetwood right now. He has one really good round and then a horrendous round following it. He just can't sustain any sort of consistency. And that's not going to be a good attribute for St. George's this week.
No, it is not.
Tyler Duncan. I'm not betting Tyler Duncan, but that profile type. Adam Long, Tyler Duncan. I mean, if Chuck Hoffman was in better form, it'd actually be very nice for him, I think.
If Grillo was in form.
Grillo's playing better than you think he is recently. Starting to come out of it.
I'm happy for him. But is this, I don't think he's, I'm not betting him. Rather bet Steven Yeager.
Jager bombs? So, I don't know.
I don't know how to.
I don't know how to bet the sport either. Like Fitzpatrick.
Am I betting a super elite with Varner and Reed?
Yeah, I think.
And like go away, like I'm done. Matt Wallace just for FOMO.
How do you go 3 years straight of Tony Finau being 18-1? Now he's 30-1 against like.
I honestly forgot he was here.
Finau, Munoz, Hadwin, Kirk are all like in a little pocket. I don't understand the 50-1 on Kirk. Isn't Kirk like 35-1 most weeks, and now he's 50-1 at a course that should suit his eye a little bit?
Why did you pocket Finau, Munoz, and Kirk?
Because they're all in that, like, on DraftKings. They're 30-1, 45-1, 50-1, and Hadwin's also 45. They're the only 4 guys in between 30 and 50.
Yeah, I don't mind Finau. He came on at the end of Charles Schwab. He always sucks me. The goddamn fucker sucks me in always. And is this a Finau course? His driving's been hurting him. Maybe not driving is a good thing.
Yeah, he's been driving the ball fine recently.
But that's been hurting him it's one of the reasons he's been struggling this year, correct?
I mean, a lot of it was chipping and putting. Like, he went through a bad stretch from basically the American Express through Valero, where he was consistently losing like a half stroke to, a 3/4 of the stroke per round around the greens, and then not putting. His tee to green seems to be solved. Like, the ball striking seems to be back. He was horrendous at Wells Fargo in terms of approach, minus 7.7. But that is a complete outlier with everything else that he's done. The driving does seem to be back. He has a second and a fourth in 2 of his past 4 starts.
I think I have to bet Tony Finau.
Would you rather bet Finau or Hatton? Because I'd rather bet Hatton, I think. At a similar number.
Hatton was my favorite player at 30-1, and I don't know what is wrong with me. I don't know. I don't know how I totally missed Finau's name. It's usually the first name I see. That's the sick disease Harold Varner's put in my body. I don't even see Finau anymore. I go right to Varner, Pat. Help me.
Can't help you, pal. That's going to be tough. Munoz is right there, too. Munoz is a tricky one because...
Tricky, but sneaky. Sneaky very, very, because he can just... He does everything I want this week. And from the outright bet, it's safer than probably rostering him in DraftKings.
No, I would say the complete other way around. I think he's made 11 consecutive cuts, and he spikes from time to time. He only has one top 10 finish over that stretch. Only one top 20 finish over that stretch.
He's taken that Siwoo profile and totally changed his vibe, eh?
I guess so. I mean, he's... Remember when before Sungjae won? You're blinking on me over here. You're having a seizure out. Hopefully you can still hear me. Either way,
I can hear you.
Oh, that's great news. So remember Sungjae going into the Honda Classic the year that he won. It was he's doing these three things well, but he can't putt this week. And then he would putt really well. It was like, he can't drive this week. Munoz's stats look like that, where it's just one thing that he's not doing well over and over. But it's not the same thing. So it's really tough to trust him at this deflated price. You put him at 60, that's a much different story than him being 35-1. I think I'd rather bet Hadwin at 45, and I don't even like that number. So we haven't really come up with anyone that we like. So let's try to go.
And this is going to be a week where someone whose number's deflated, we don't like it. It's too short. Just sort of feels like that's very prime to get us, but I don't care. I'll just keep doing what I do.
Sure. So ideally, the way I would like to structure my card, we'll call this the quick picks because I actually don't have a wager in right now because I want to wait to see where these odds go, because these are the odds that we're seeing on a Monday morning are not the odds that we're going to get by Wednesday. I'll have the final picks live with Tambo, 12 p.m. Eastern time. They'll be in the newsletter as well, and I'll probably tweet out some throughout the course of the week. But Rory, Lowry, Hatton. The Hatton odds I like at 28. If I can get the 33, I will take that for sure. But I want to see Rory and Lowry come down a little bit. A 12 on Rory will be good enough for me. I need to get at least a 22, I think, on Lowry. Or ideally a 25 would be perfect. But I don't know if that's going to end up materializing. Down the board, now we can't... If I'm going to go with Rory at that steep of a price, I don't have much room to do much else. So that Reed 65, very nice. Pan 80, I really like. I do like CT Pan a lot this week. And that 200 on Rogers, I think, is a really good number. And then that leaves like List, who I have interest in at a short, more difficult, lower scoring course. And then Nick Taylor and Svensson is like, hey, it's the Canadian Open. Let's go on some Canadians here. Maybe a top 10 is better for those guys, but they're 130 and 250 to 1. Those seem like deep odds for that sort of skill set that they possess for this style of course. Why isn't Keegan Bradley here? I would bet Keegan Bradley this week.
Keegan Bradley. There are a lot of guys that you would think could profile very well for this course. Even Kevin Kisner, Pat.
Yeah.
You know, he's all about, listen, next week, 27th place is going to play fantastic. This week, 3rd place is going to pay amazing.
I agree.
So, yeah, there's a few. Obviously, it's just people, you know, the U.S. Open has their, people have their own prep. So, for me, the bets I have made, Varner 42 is in. The second we disconnect, I will be getting some of that Reed 65 because I've seen the market, and that seems great. And he's 55 to win Memorial last week. And I like Patrick Reed. When he wins, I don't even have to have money on him to feel like I want money. So imagine when he wins and I have money on him, how I feel. That'd be amazing. That'd be amazing. That might tweak some people in Canada and in the States. Oh, I'd love it so much. I do agree. Of the super elites, Rory is the pick du jour. Maybe JT, but Rory, I'm a sucker for that one, trying to call it instead of JT keeping hot.
We didn't even mention that Scheffler had like a D+ performance and almost won at Colonial.
Yeah, he's amazing. And he won his start before the U.S. Open. And what did he do at Byron Nelson? Or the Masters, which was match play. And he won... He missed the cut at Byron.
No, he was at Byron. He played
the one before the PGA.
Yeah, he played all right. He was 15th.
Play great. Yeah, I don't know what to say. There's nothing to say. He's the best player in the world. I'm a loser who would just bet Rory instead of him, I guess.
Me too.
And then I like that Hatton 33, Finau 30. Low 20 Lowry. So I'd have to maybe make a decision there. So Varner I'm in on, Reed I'm in on, and I like those 4 other players, but I won't be betting them all. I'll have to make a card. And maybe I bet nothing and just go farther back. But I like good players. I always like thinking good players will win. So I have a trouble just thinking I need to bet it like JJ Spawn or Higo or KH Lee will. It's hard for me. It's hard.
It's funny. Spawn actually I made a short list of like longer shots this week when I was doing the research show as I was going through of guys that just kind of stuck out. Spawn, Rogers, Ryan Armour, Adam Long, Johnny Vegas, Patrick Reed, David Lipsky, your guy, and Keith Mitchell. But those Keith Mitchell odds are just ludicrous, it feels like. What was it, 35 to 1?
Yeah, there's apparently some early 60s out there. I didn't see them.
But yeah, let's do one and dones. I thought I was going to get back into the mix last week, and then Cameron Smith just took a big dump on Sunday, so we actually tied Mito, who you had. Lowry did not come through for Cuss, but Cuss is still currently winning. I remain $1 million back. You're like $10,000 back, so this is your time to seize it right now if you want to. Who do you want to go with for the Canadian Open?
I'll take Rory.
Have you used Rory yet? You've used Rory already. You used Rory at the Masters.
Oh, loser. Have I used Harold?
You have not used Harold Varner.
Well, yeah, we got to go Harold.
HV3. You will find out who Tim's one and done is in the newsletter this week. So sub to it down in the description. That was the most response I've ever got to anything that's happened on the show, I think, was us not telling anyone who Cuss one and done pick was last week.
Ask him.
I'll have it in the newsletter on Wednesday evening once I send that out. So it's free to sub to. It's down in the description. And the Listeners League link is down there as well. Who can I use? I've used Cam Smith. I've used Lowry. Have I used Rory? Oh, I did. I used Rory at... What the hell did I use Rory at? The Genesis. Yeah, he was okay there, I suppose. I haven't used Scheffler yet. Maybe it's time to use Scheffler? I've used Lowry.
I'd use Scheffler now before he sucks in 4 months, Pat.
Yeah, before he's just absolutely brutal. Maybe I'll say
Morikawa dirt.
Yeah, poor Morikawa. I hope he gets it back together. I don't know if he's injured. There's just something off about him. Not quite sure what the deal is with him.
It only takes one spike to fix everything.
We didn't even mention Sam Burns' name.
What am I supposed to? Yeah, he's a winner, and he can win any course. And the week before major, the week after major, horrible field, amazing field. He just exudes like natural born winner. He's going to come for it. But I'm not betting it because I don't know. I'm just not.
I'll take Hatton as my one and done. Get him in there. Should take. Cuss, put it this way. Here's what Cuss watched the research show. I played golf with Cuss last night, and he was telling me that Patrick Rogers was probably going to be his one and done. Now that he knows who that is.
Yeah, he does.
He does now because he watched the research show. But I think he might be. That's not an official pick by any means. But I just thought that was kind of interesting. Poor Cuss, man. He's getting worse as the season goes along. He is. We keep trying to tell him. And it's hard because I've been in that place too when you're playing. And it's not like any of us are any good, but there's degrees of being good and being bad for what your baseline skill set is on the course. But he is just like bad talking himself. Like he enters the round predicting it's going to go poorly, and inevitably it gets worse and worse as the round goes along, and he's just losing it. I've never seen him like it before. He's just lost all confidence on the course, which is something that he always had, and it always felt like. I know it's not. You can't just fake the confidence on the course, but I feel
Does
like
he get golf sad though?
Yes, he's been golf sad. Like each of the past.
Brings down people in the group too with him. Like
no,
his attitude.
His attitude is we're trying to manage it as a group as we're walking along, but I just feel bad for him. I just want to see him have a good. It feels like he's not having a good time playing anymore, and that's not where I want to be.
No.
And he's seeing the two guys that he plays with all the time getting better now after like the first month. Like we're better than we were last year because we're playing a little bit more, and he's going the other way. He's worse than he was last year somehow.
He cussed at himself, I guess.
Yeah, he got that.
He predicted a huge season.
Well, yeah. On the first tee yesterday, he hit the first shot, and he piped a drive, like 300 down the middle, and he turns to me and the two guys that we're playing with. He's like, "You guys want to do teams today? Me and Pat against you two?" And like he was brimming with confidence. So I was like, "Yeah, sure, we'll be a team. Don't worry about it." And then like approach shot. He misses the putt. Then he has like a 6-footer for par after the other guy's already in. Makes the par putt. Shooter McGavin guns it into the hole, and then he shot 106.
Yes, Tim.
Really blew the load on the first hole with the fist pumps, the finger pointing, very fired up. Hits one good shot. It's like, let's play. Let's get some money on this right now.
He's fixed. Yeah. Golf's the freaking best. Because just one sweet swing, you're like, okay, I'm back. But no, you'll be humbled in 8 minutes. Don't worry, pal.
Yeah, so we had to, we three of us took a 9 on a par 5, the third hole. It was rough treading until we got through like 4 or 5 holes, and everything smoothed out. But a quad on a par 5 is hard to do.
Golf's hard.
Yeah. Live Tour odds?
Yeah. I got like 8 minutes.
All right.
So
DJ is plus 350. Gooch is 6. Louis is 8. Na is 10. Sergio's 10. Matt Jones is 16. Horsfield's 20. Oh, Byrne is down to 25 now.
Yeah, his number's been getting crushed all morning.
We talked about this before.
Henny was over. Oh man, Henny was up there too. We missed the boat.
Henny's 40.
There were such soft numbers. Henny was like 80 2 hours ago. I should have paid more attention to this. Grace was higher up there. I really shat the bed. I didn't know what to make of it though. I just knew
Swafford at 60. Swafford is priced like he plays on the Asian tour, by the way.
And they opened DJ at like 250 and have quickly bumped him to 350. Curious to see how he'll play after receiving the full bag.
Same as Na. I guess in this field, like
Louis gonna win.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking too. Like 8-1 on Louis is like not a number I would ever want to bet, but maybe Uline's 50.
You just asked me to pick a winner right now. Like no, I honestly just pick Louis.
Yeah.
He's so funny. It makes so much sense.
I don't even know what the rules of the stupid tournament are.
54 holes. I think there's shotgun starts.
Oh my God.
That's about all I know.
I when I went through the field the first time, there is a name that I did not realize who was in here and who was sitting at 150 to 1. Tani Hara is back.
Uh-huh.
But I think actually Swafford at 66 is a really good number for this field. Like,
Yeah.
why is he behind Justin Harding and Sean Norris? He's won on the fucking PGA Tour this year.
I don't know.
Swafford.
This will be interesting.
Are you going to tune in on Facebook?
Yeah, I tune in. I watch. Listen, like, I don't like everyone out there. Like, I'm disgusted by, a lot of the things Saudi Arabia does, but I don't have like the outrage that some other people have for it. As a sports fan, like, I like when things get shaken up. I don't mind that golf needs a shake up. I think it's going to be an interesting summer, Pat. We got news this morning. Rickie's going. I guarantee you they promised to pay.
I missed that. Is that actually true? Rickie's going?
Yeah, Rickie's going.
What? How was that not the lead of the show? I didn't see that.
I thought you knew and you wanted to put it off to the end.
No, I
I'm
didn't
sorry.
see that. No, give me your thoughts on.
And I swear Paul said something to you as you sat in the chair. So I just thought I don't know. I thought you had sorry. I swear I thought I heard Paul say it to you also.
Paul shaking his
before
head
we went on. Then I didn't even see Finau on the board. Rick, maybe that news rattled me. Yeah, Rickie's going. So they must have promised to pay out the Puma deal because I guarantee you Puma drops him.
Man, he has so many sponsors. He has what?
And I would go as far to say, this might sound crazy, Rickie's as big as DJ. People care about Rickie as much, maybe more.
Okay, so
DJ's just a dull character who I love that he just walks like a tall glass of water and is incredible at golf.
I think this is one or two things that I don't quite understand about the fandom internationally, because I think Canadian fandom and US fandom are very similar, especially when it comes to golf. Is DJ, because Rickie's a huge star in the golf world, but is he more of an American star than an international star? And would DJ trump that? Because I would almost agree with you that Rickie going over, just based on pure popularity, by far the most popular and biggest get they get. Yes, Paul.
And now Geoff can bet Rickie and we won't mock him because there's nobody in the field.
Can you price Rickie in this field?
I don't think
is he
Rickie's playing in a U.S. Open quali this week, so he's still.
So he's not in this event.
No.
So it doesn't seem like these guys have to miss majors, does it?
It doesn't seem so, and Na took the proper approach that if you're just not a member of the PGA Tour, there's a lot that they can't really sue you, and the other majors. The USGA doesn't want a legal fight saying a top 18 player who's a free agent can't play in the US Open, or a top 50 player, a player who's qualified. Like, that's not worth the USGA's time, I don't think. And the PGA Tour can't discipline guys who are no longer members. So that seems like a move. And LIV Tour has apparently assured these guys they'll pay for any legal fees from it. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting summer, Pat. I think we're going to see more names. You start, like, I don't know, like, how's his buddy Duffner not there? Where's, Kuchar didn't pay a caddy. How's he not going?
Yeah, why? I as DB pointed out when we did that Twitter space, that's on the feed right now if people want to go back and listen to it. Both. It's audio only, but it's up on YouTube and the podcast feed. But he's like, where is Kisner in all of this? That guy only cares about money.
Yeah, exactly. This ain't love. It ain't no hobby. It's a fucking it's a job. So you're right. I think everyone does feel like they're just waiting to see how deep the backlash goes, what exactly happens. There's no rush if you're Kevin Kisner. You can join in a month, you can join in 2 months, you can join in 6 months. I think the opportunity to take a top 50, 60 player in the world, their arms are always going to be open to. And in closing, all this really does, Pat, is solidify my thought that the Champions Tour is going to be given. Tiger's going to have an ownership stake in that tour, an equity stake. It's going to be renamed his tour.
Yeah, the Tiger Tour.
Yeah, the Champions Tour. That is like the only thing my mind keeps going in all of this, to be honest.
So we're getting Phil, we're getting Rickie. Interesting.
And apparently tomorrow's a media day.
So
those guys are going to talk who are over there for the first time.
Okay.
And yeah, it should be interesting. And I'm a watcher. I'll watch. I'm not like boycotting. You know, and God forbid you say something bad about LIV while wearing like a Nike windbreaker. People will come for you.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, what they do, their lack of accountability for anything in life, like disgusting. I don't have an answer. If I got deep into the hypocrisy of everything I'm into, that would be a bad place. Do I like the fact that, like, because I'm Jewish, they would behead me if I showed up in their country? No.
You don't like that?
But I'm not going to their country.
You don't like that part about it?
No, I don't. Like, that's not ideal. But I don't know. It's just like, if you really read deep into it, it's this whole, like, deeper investment fund that even 60 Minutes did a feature a few months ago that they're even investing, like, in Israeli startups. So, yes, it's about golf and sports washing, but this, like, LIV fund or prosperity fund, it's like way deeper. And if they're investing in Israeli companies, like, they're pretty much open to investing in anything that makes any sense. Golf and sport being clearly the main thing. That's it. I don't know. I wish we could talk about it more. I can't drive myself places, so I have to accept the rides when they're offering.
Yeah, you go check out you go check out the Monday qualifier. You be the man on the ground. Hopefully, you get your like wheelchair access that they'll give you a cart like Casey Martin to go ride around in. You don't have to walk.
Yeah, no, I'll be able to loiter the property. Good.
All
And
right.
hey, if it's not going well, I just go inside, eat some chicken tenders.
Yeah,
Looking forward to sharing a plate with you, Danny Willett, next year.
That'd be very nice. Geoff Fienberg, follow him on Twitter at GFienberg17. Play in the Listeners League on DraftKings, link in the description. Cuss pick and all the additional information will be in the newsletter coming out on Wednesday evening, but live, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, in studio. Tambo will be right there. We'll be going through all the DraftKings picks, the ownership, the final bets, and taking your questions on Wednesday. And then Friday's going to be around soon enough. Research show for the U.S. Open, kicking off the Mega PME Majors Week. You know the deal. Friday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Boom. Cut Sweat Show. On Friday, we might do it as a Twitter Spaces and YouTube experience this time to try to harness more of the audience, because I really liked how Twitter Spaces went for the golf. But that'll do it for me. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!